Let's move on and talk about Just Stop Oil. I've been talking about Just Stop Oil a great deal on the talk during the week. And this story about Just Stop Oil activists, they were actually surrounded by a group of counter-protesters in London. This was yesterday morning. The rebel demonstrators formed a human chain around members of Just Stop Oil who were sitting on the floor. Now, they were wearing T-shirts that read, "Just stop peeing everyone off." And I'm paraphrasing here. And I have to say, I did chuckle when I saw that. Just in terms of the reaction on Twitter, it's been pretty extraordinary. I've been warning for some time that this is now getting completely out of control. And in terms of net zero, Benedict and I were just talking about it. The powers that be have decided this is a good idea, whether you believe this or not, and that we're going to reach net zero by 2030. I have been warning that someone is going to get hurt, and seriously hurt, because the public is not happy with the way this is carrying on. And this happened. A furious motorist lashed out with his fists and swung a kick at the head of a Just Stop Oil protester during the group's latest disruptive action on the streets of London. Here's the footage. I mean, it is quite extraordinary, and there is a sense of outrage from the general public. They feel that Just Stop Oil are holding them to ransom. They can't get to work in a cost of living crisis when they're actually struggling to put food on the table. And this is the sort of thing that will increasingly happen unless the police are seen to take a very robust defence of this, and they should be issuing Section 12 notices far sooner, in my humble opinion, and getting these menaces off the streets. Joining me now, Baroness Bennett, former Green Party leader. Good morning to you.
Morning, David, and a wonderful morning it is, given we've just had spectacularly good by-election results for the Green Party, 10.1% in Somerset and Frome, the highest percentage we've ever got in a by-election, and our first ever third.
That's interesting. You were happy, were you, with your results? You came third across all three, so that is a good result. I mean, is it in terms of the by-elections? We were talking about the fact that it's tricky to extrapolate that to a national election, because obviously I think people wanted to send a message to the two main parties, but you're pleased with the third position?
Well, this is a real step up for us. It's a reflection of the fact that we've got strong local council groups, 757 councillors. Our number of councillors is going up exponentially. We've just won our first Green Party majority council on Mid Suffolk District Council. So we're really, we are part of the major political landscape of Britain, and it's onward and upward for us, very much so.
Can I just ask you then, in terms of climate change, and you have been incredibly successful, I'll give you that, in terms of changing the narrative and going towards net zero, and we pretty much have agreed that we're on this pathway to net zero. It was 2050, it's now 2030. There is a price to pay for all of this, of course, and we are looking at this as part of a world where actually we're reducing our emissions, but people like China and Russia are building increasing amounts of power stations. Do you think that now is the time for Just Stop Oil to stop this action? Because actually, I think people have realised the direction of travel. I don't really understand what they're doing.
Well, I think, first of all, you were talking about the cost of heading towards net zero. Well, the cost of not tackling climate change we're already very much seeing.
But it depends if you believe it's man-made or not.
If you look at across Europe, the hailstorms, 110 injured in Italy. Greece is on a flame, as is large amounts of southern Europe, record temperatures. We're seeing this British people even giving up their holidays because it's simply too hot and flying home.
But that doesn't mean we're causing it, and it's certainly the UK emissions is not really insignificant.
Well, first of all, there's a couple of things to say about that. First of all, there's a historical point of many of the emissions already up there that started this off from our industrial revolution. But more broadly, the whole world has to decarbonise. That is the science. We had just had a record high temperature around the world collectively in June across the month, where the first week of July was almost certainly the world's hottest temperature. We're seeing this in terms of disturbance to our food supplies. We have to feed ourselves. We need crops to be able to grow and thrive. We are in a situation where there is no alternative. But there's also a positive to this, because what we're doing now is trashing the planet, trashing the climate, and creating a thoroughly unhealthy society. There's still nearly 1 billion people regularly go to bed hungry around the world. In Britain, we have so many homes that need to be insulated so people have a warm, comfortable, affordable to heat home. We need to...
Oh, I think we've just lost you. I'm sorry, we just lost you there for a moment. I don't disagree at all that we do need to look after people, make sure they live in warm, comfortable houses. The point I'm making, I suppose, is that where you and I differ is if we want to move to net zero, I think that is that in terms of a result is fine. The question is about the speed of this transition. I'm looking this morning. When you look at our energy, only 24% is coming from renewables currently. 50% is coming from oil. We're simply not there. We don't have the technology.
The renewables, of course, had we gone ahead with them 10 years ago, our energy bills would be vastly lower than they are now.
Or we should have built nuclear power
energy
stations.
Well, then we would have enormously expensive energy bills. The cheapest energy now is onshore wind, which our government has failed to with, despite the fact that actually there's now a large group of Tories who've put down a rebel amendment to the energy bill saying let's go with onshore wind. It's the cheapest form of energy that could be powering people's homes now, saving them on their energy bills. That's also, of course, true of solar. I've been pushing very hard a community energy amendment to the energy bill so that we could have community groups up and down the land could get together, put solar panels on the schools, put solar panels on the doctor's surgery. That would be generating energy for people locally, getting lower bills, and of course being good for the planet as well.
Can I just ask you, in terms of Just Stop Oil, should they just stop doing what they're doing?
Well, non-violent direct action has always been part of pushing change. And if you look at the two sides of this, you know, the other side of people who are saying much the same thing as Just Stop Oil are saying in a different way is the government's official Committee on Climate Change, which is saying to the government, in the last year, your action on the climate emergency on cutting carbon emissions has actually gone backwards. The situation has worsened. They're saying you used to be seen to be a world leader. The world is saying you're not being a world leader anymore and we want you to. That's the official Committee on Climate Change is saying that. So the message is coming to the government from all kinds of angles, and that's what needs to happen.
Is that what the electorate want?
Well, I can just point you to the election results, the by-election results we just started talking about. The Green Party having its strongest ever showing. You look at the council election results in which we are going up year on year at a very great pace, at an exponential rate. People are getting Greens elected up and down the country and they're liking what they're seeing and they're going for more of them.
Can I just move on, if I may, and talk about Coots and this fiasco, really, involving Coots and where we are now? Are you worried about people who are involved in politics who may well have their bank accounts closed because they express opinions that the banks don't like?
I don't think that should happen, although my greater concern is the 1.2 million people who are still unbanked in the UK, who don't have access to the most basic banking services, who we've just been talking about energy bills, who have to pay more money for their energy because they're not able to have direct debits. It costs them in many other ways. So I'd start at, my level of concern is much more at that end of society where so many people are effectively excluded. The cheapest ways of living in our society are excluded from being able to live their lives because they can't get a bank account.
Very good to talk to you. That's Baroness Bennett, former Green Party leader.